I thought Jessica and I had the perfect relationship for 3 years. We had plans, dreams, and a future together. Then one night she dropped a bombshell. She needed space time to think, and asked me not to contact her for a while. I respected her wishes, even though it hurt. Then came the shock vacation photos on social media with her ex Jason. The betrayal cut deep, leaving me with decisions to make about our shared life. If you are watching this, drop a comment about where you are from. Like and subscribe if you have ever discovered betrayal through social media. Trust me, what happened next will change how you think about setting boundaries forever. 3 years ago, I met Jessica at a mutual friend's birthday party. She was standing by the snack table laughing at something someone had said, and I found myself drawn to her immediately. She had this incredible smile that seemed to light up her entire face, and when our eyes met across the room, I felt something I had never experienced before. I gathered my courage, walked over, and introduced myself. We spent the entire evening talking, discovering we shared the same taste in music, movies, and even had similar childhood dreams. By the end of the night, I had her number, and I knew this was the start of something special. Our first date was at a small Italian restaurant downtown. I still remember how beautiful she looked in her blue dress, how the candlelight reflected in her eyes as she told me about her ambitions to become an architect. Our conversation flowed effortlessly for hours, and when I walked her to her door that night, our first kiss felt like coming home. After a string of relationships that had ended badly, Jessica felt different. She felt real. The next few months were a whirlwind of adventures and deepening connection. We went hiking in the mountains, had picnics by the lake, and spent countless nights talking until sunrise. Jessica understood me in ways no one else ever had. She knew when to push me to be better and when to offer comfort. We balanced each other perfectly, or so I thought. After 2 years together, moving in seemed like the natural next step. We found a cozy 2-bedroom apartment with a view of the city park. I still remember the day we got the keys, running through the empty rooms, planning where everything would go, imagining our life together between these walls. It was one of the happiest days of my life. 6 months after moving in together, Jessica needed a new car. Her old Honda was constantly breaking down and repair costs were mounting. Her credit score had taken a hit after some student loan issues, so we decided to put the car in my name. I had no concerns about it. We were building a life together, and this was just another step in that journey. I helped her choose a sleek silver Mazda that she fell in love with instantly. Seeing her excitement as she drove it off the lot made the financial responsibility worth it. We started talking about bigger plans, buying a house in the suburbs, getting married within the next year. Even names for our future children. Jessica wanted a boy named Leo and a girl named Sophia. I could picture them so clearly with her eyes and my stubborn chin. Our friends always commented on how perfect we seemed together. At barbecues and dinner parties, people would pull me aside to say they wished for a relationship like ours. We were that couple everyone looked up to. Looking back now, I can see the warning signs that started appearing about 6 months ago, but at the time, I was blind to them. Jessica started coming home later from work, citing increased pressure on a big project her firm was handling. When she was home, she seemed distracted, often lost in her phone, instead of engaging in conversation like before. Our intimate moments became less frequent, and when they did happen, something felt different, like she was physically present but emotionally somewhere else. I also noticed how Jessica began mentioning Jason, her ex-boyfriend, in casual conversation. They had dated for 2 years in college before we met. According to Jessica, it had ended amicably when they realized they wanted different things. Now suddenly she was mentioning running into him at coffee shops or bringing up stories from their time together. I never suspected anything, though. I trusted her completely. I was busy with my own work challenges during this time. My company had assigned me to lead a major software development project with tight deadlines. I was working longer hours, often bringing work home on weekends. I regret now that I was too preoccupied to notice how our relationship was shifting beneath the surface. I was so focused on building our future that I missed what was happening in our present. The night everything changed started like any other Tuesday. I had picked up takeout from our favorite Thai place on the way home. Jessica was already there when I arrived, sitting on the couch with an unusual expression on her face. She barely acknowledged the food, saying she was not hungry. Something in her voice made my stomach clench with apprehension. We sat down and she took a deep breath before speaking. Her words came out practiced as if she had rehearsed them many times. She needed space, she said. Time to think about our relationship and what she wanted from life. Her face was composed almost cold as she explained that she felt we had become too enmeshed, that she had lost her sense of self within our partnership. I remember her exact words, "I need to step back and evaluate things. I need some space from you. Please do not contact me for a while. This is something I need to do alone." When I asked if there was someone else, she looked me directly in the eyes and said, "This is not about anyone else. This is about me needing to reconnect with myself." She assured me it was temporary, that she just needed a few weeks to clear her head. She promised we would talk about everything when she returned. Even though her request felt like a knife to my chest, I agreed. I loved her, and if space was what she needed, I would respect that. I asked where she would stay, and she vaguely mentioned a girlfriend from work. I did not press for details. I helped her pack a suitcase, my hands trembling as I handed her clothes from the closet we had shared for years. As she zipped up her bag, I fought the urge to beg her to stay. Instead, I hugged her awkwardly at the door and watched her walk to her car. The silver Mazda I had helped her choose, the one with my name on the registration. After she left, our apartment felt cavernous and eerily quiet. I wandered from room to room that night, touching her things, trying to understand what had gone wrong. Had I been too focused on work? Had I not listened enough? Was I too controlling without realizing it? The questions kept me awake until dawn. The first week without Jessica was excruciating. I drafted dozens of text messages asking if she was okay, telling her I missed her, suggesting we talk things through, but I deleted everyone without sending. She had asked for space, and I was determined to respect her wishes, no matter how much it hurt. I threw myself into work during the day, but evenings were the hardest. Coming home to an empty apartment, cooking for one, watching shows we used to enjoy together, all of it felt wrong. I kept expecting to hear her key in the door, to hear her call my name as she came in. My best friend Marcus came over a few days after Jessica left. He found me surrounded by takeout containers, unshaved, and wearing the same clothes for the third day straight. He forced me to shower while he cleaned up the mess I had made of our living room. After over beers, he suggested gently that perhaps Jessica's request for space might not be what it seemed. "Have you seen her social media lately?" he asked carefully. I told him I had been avoiding it, afraid of what I might see. Marcus looked uncomfortable but encouraged me to check. "Just to ease your mind," he said, though his expression suggested he knew it would do anything but. I brushed off his concerns. Jessica had been clear that this was about her needing time to think. She had promised me there was no one else involved. I believed her because I needed to, because the alternative was too painful to consider. Marcus did not push, but the seed of doubt had been planted. 10 days after Jessica left, I was mindlessly scrolling through Instagram when a photo stopped my heart. It was posted by a mutual friend who had tagged Jessica at a beachfront resort in Cancun, Mexico. She was smiling broadly, her skin sun-kissed, wearing a blue bikini I had never seen before, and next to her, with his arm casually draped around her waist, was Jason, her ex-boyfriend. My hands shook so badly I dropped my phone. When I picked it up, I forced myself to look more closely. They were clearly together, not just running into each other or hanging out as friends. Her body language, the way she leaned into him, the intimate smile on her face, all told the story my heart did not want to read. I scrolled through the post and found more photos in the comments. Jessica and Jason clinking champagne glasses at sunset, the two of them snorkeling in crystal clear waters, him kissing her cheek as she laughed. The betrayal hit me in waves, each one stronger than the last, until I could barely breathe. Within minutes, my phone started buzzing with messages from friends who had seen the same photos. Some were checking if I was okay. Others were sending screenshots of additional pictures Jessica or her friends had posted. She had not tagged Jason in any of her own posts, perhaps thinking that would somehow keep me from finding out. The comments under the photos were another knife twist. Friends of hers writing things like, "So happy you found your way back to each other," and "First love never dies." It was clear that many people knew about this reunion before I did, while I sat alone in our apartment, respecting her need for space. I tried calling Jessica immediately, my hurt and anger overriding my promise to give her space. The call went straight to voicemail. I tried again and again. Finally, I checked my contact list and realized she had blocked my number. I sent an email that received an automatic response: "Out of office until next week." I even tried messaging her on social media, only to discover I had been blocked there too. Desperate for answers, I called her best friend Tara. She answered, but sounded uncomfortable from the first hello. When I asked about Jessica and Jason in Mexico, there was a long pause before she replied, "I think you should talk to Jessica about this, Dayton." Her tone was apologetic, but firm. She knew I realized. She had probably known all along. In a final act of desperation, I even tried calling Jason. His phone rang, but went to voicemail. I did not leave a message. What could I possibly say to the man who was now embracing my girlfriend on a beach thousands of miles away while I sat alone in the apartment we had shared? That night, I did something I am not proud of. I went through our shared computer looking for any clues about how long this had been going on. In her email account, which remained logged in, I found flight confirmations for 2 tickets to Cancun purchased 3 weeks before she asked for space. The realization that her speech about needing time alone had been a calculated lie to cover her romantic getaway was like a physical blow. I dug deeper and found text message backups revealing conversations between Jessica and Jason dating back nearly 2 months. They had been meeting for coffee, then lunch, then dinner. Each message more intimate than the last, filled with inside jokes and reminiscences about their time together in college. In one message, Jason wrote, "I never stopped loving you." Jessica replied, "I know. I feel the same." The final betrayal came when I checked our joint savings account, where we had been putting money aside for a house down payment. Jessica had withdrawn $4,000 2 days before asking for space, nearly half of what we had saved together. The transaction description read simply, "personal expenses." Everything became painfully clear. The late nights at work, the emotional distance, the casual mentions of Jason, the sudden need for space, it had all been leading to this. Jessica had not needed space to find herself. She had needed an excuse to be with Jason without having to face me or the guilt of her betrayal. The space she requested was just enough room to escape with another man. I spent that night in a fog of pain and disbelief. I drank too much whiskey called Marcus, crying at 2 a.m, and fell asleep on the bathroom floor. When I woke up, my head pounding and heart aching even worse, something had shifted inside me. The initial shock had crystallized into a cold, clear understanding. I deserved better than this. I sat on the edge of the bathtub, still in yesterday's clothes, and made a decision. I would not be the victim in this story. I would not spend the next weeks or months begging for explanations or closure from someone who had so callously discarded 3 years of love and trust. Instead, I would take control of what I could and rebuild my life without Jessica. For the first time, since discovering the photos, I felt something beyond pain. I felt a spark of determination. Jessica had asked for space, had she not? Well, I would give her exactly what she claimed to want, but on my terms. This was not about revenge, I told myself. This was about self-preservation and establishing boundaries that should have been in place all along. I started by calling a lawyer friend for advice. Mark specialized in property law and assured me that since the apartment was in my name only, I had every right to change the locks. The car was a more complex issue since Jessica had been making the payments, but legally, as the registered owner, I could sell it as long as I returned her financial investment. With a clear understanding of my legal standing, I called a locksmith. By noon, the locks on our apartment had been changed. I felt a strange sense of satisfaction watching the old keys become useless, much like the promises Jessica and I had made to each other. Next, I contacted the dealership about selling the Mazda. They offered a fair price considering its age and mileage. I accepted, signed the paperwork, and arranged for them to pick it up the following day. I calculated exactly how much Jessica had contributed to the car payments and transferred that amount to a separate account ready to return to her. I was not interested in her money, only in severing our entanglements. The hardest part was packing up Jessica's belongings. Each item held memories, from the coffee mug I had given her on our first Christmas together to the collection of architecture books that lined our shelves. I worked methodically, carefully wrapping fragile items and labeling boxes with their contents. When everything was packed, I rented a small storage unit and moved her things there, paying for 3 months in advance. I left the access key and details with Tara, along with a note explaining that Jessica could contact me through a lawyer if she had any questions. As word of what happened spread through our friend circle, reactions were mixed. Some thought I was being too harsh, that I should wait to hear Jessica's side of the story. Others understood my actions as necessary self-protection. Social media became uncomfortable, as friends were forced to choose sides or maintain an awkward neutrality. I made one brief post, a photo of the sunset from our apartment window, with the caption, "Sometimes you need to give people exactly the space they ask for." I then muted notifications and stepped away from the online drama that followed. Jessica's friends launched a campaign of subtle criticism, implying I was controlling or vindictive. Jason's friends surprisingly remained silent. Instead of engaging with the social media storm, I channeled my energy into work and physical activity. I took on extra projects that required long hours, redesigned our apartment, removing all traces of Jessica, and started running every morning before dawn. Physical exhaustion was the only thing that guaranteed sleep without dreams of her. Through it all, I maintained a dignified silence about the details. When colleagues or distant friends asked about Jessica, I simply said we had gone our separate ways. I refused to become bitter or to vilify her publicly, even though part of me wanted the world to know what she had done. 2 weeks later, Jessica returned from Mexico. I knew the exact moment she tried to come home because my phone exploded with texts and calls from her new number. The first message was confused. "Did you change the locks?" Then angry. "Where is my car? What have you done?" I did not respond immediately, allowing myself time to process my emotions. When I finally called her back, I kept my voice steady and calm, a stark contrast to her frantic tone. "You asked for space," I said. "I respected your wishes and gave you precisely that." She demanded to know where her belongings were, accused me of theft, and threatened legal action over the car. I explained that her things were safely stored, that I had kept detailed records of her car payments and was prepared to return that exact amount, and that any further communication should happen in a public place or through attorneys. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop downtown the following day. I arrived early, chose a table in the corner where we could talk privately, but still be in public, and waited. When Jessica walked in, the sight of her hit me harder than I had anticipated. She looked tanned and beautiful, but also uncertain, missing the confidence she had always carried. She sat down across from me, her expression cycling rapidly between anger, defensiveness, and something that almost looked like regret. I handed her an envelope with the storage unit information and a check for her portion of the car payments. I had also included the few photos of us I had decided not to keep, thinking she might want them. "You had no right to sell my car," she began, her voice tight with suppressed emotion. "It was registered in my name," I replied simply. "I have returned every dollar you put toward it. And my things. You packed up my life without permission. You chose to pack up our relationship without discussion," I countered. "I simply followed your example." For the next hour, we talked in circles. Jessica alternated between justifying her actions, minimizing what had happened in Mexico, as reconnecting with an old friend, and trying to make me feel guilty for my response. I remained calm, refusing to be drawn into arguments about who had wronged whom more severely. Eventually, her anger seemed to deflate, replaced by a dawning realization that she could not manipulate the situation to her advantage. "I never meant to hurt you," she said quietly. "Things with Jason just happened." We ran into each other at a conference, and all those old feelings came back. I looked at her for a long moment before responding. "They did not just happen, Jessica. You made choices. You chose to meet him behind my back. You chose to plan a vacation with him while telling me you needed space. You chose to lie instead of having the courage to end things honestly. She flinched at my words but did not deny them. Instead, she tried a different approach. We had 3 good years together, Dayton. Does that not count for anything? Do you really want things to end like this between us? You ended things the moment you decided I did not deserve the truth, I said. All I did was accept the ending you had already created. As our conversation wound down, I felt a weight lifting. I had said what I needed to say without cruelty or revenge, maintaining my dignity while setting clear boundaries. Jessica left the coffee shop with her shoulders slumped the check and storage information clutched in her hand, looking smaller somehow than when she had arrived. 3 days later, I received an unexpected call from Jason. I almost did not answer, but curiosity won out. His voice was hesitant as he introduced himself, though we had met briefly years ago at a mutual friends gathering. I owe you an apology, he said. Jessica told me you two had broken up months ago. She said you were only still living together until the lease ended. I found out the truth when she came back from Mexico and had nowhere to live. I was stunned into silence trying to process this new information. Jessica had been lying to both of us, crafting different realities to suit her needs. I am not trying to make excuses, Jason continued. I should have verified what she told me, but I thought you should know she was not honest with either of us. After a brief awkward conversation, we ended the call with a mutual understanding that while we would never be friends, we shared the experience of Jessica's deception. I later heard through mutual acquaintances that Jason had also ended things with Jessica after discovering the extent of her lies. In the 6 months that followed, I rebuilt my life piece by careful piece. The first month was the hardest, filled with moments where grief would ambush me when I least expected it. I would catch the scent of Jessica's perfume on a stranger passing by, or hear a song that reminded me of her, and the pain would return fresh and sharp. I joined a support group for people going through breakups and divorces, finding comfort in the shared experiences of others who understood the unique pain of betrayal. Listening to their stories helped me realize that what happened was not a reflection of my worth, but of Jessica's character. Work became a sanctuary where I could focus on concrete problems with clear solutions, unlike the messy, emotional aftermath of my relationship. My dedication led to a promotion that had been a long-time goal, bringing both financial rewards and a new sense of professional confidence. I developed new routines and habits that had nothing to do with my life with Jessica. I started rock climbing at an indoor gym, joined a book club focusing on classic literature. I had always meant to read and even took a solo trip to the Grand Canyon, something Jessica had never been interested in doing. 3 months after our final coffee shop meeting, I moved out of the apartment we had shared. Too many memories lingered in those rooms. My new place was smaller but felt more authentically mine. I furnished it with items that reflected my tastes alone, creating a space where I could truly heal. The most important lesson I learned through this painful experience was about self-respect and boundaries. I realized that true love does not require the sacrifice of your dignity or self-worth. Loving someone else deeply is beautiful, but not at the expense of loving yourself. I also learned to trust my instincts more. Looking back, there were so many moments when something felt off in our relationship, small inconsistencies or changes in behavior that I had dismissed or rationalized away. Now I understand the importance of acknowledging those feelings rather than suppressing them. Perhaps the most surprising discovery was that forgiveness was possible not for Jessica's benefit, but for my own. Holding on to anger and resentment was exhausting and ultimately unproductive. Letting go of those feelings did not mean condoning what she did, but refusing to let her actions define my future. Recently, I met someone new. Anna is a graphic designer I connected with through work. We have been taking things slowly, building a foundation of honesty and respect. I have been transparent about my past without dwelling on it, and she has been patient as I navigate the complexities of trusting again. I do not hate Jessica anymore. In a strange way, I am grateful for the lessons her betrayal taught me. I am stronger now, more aware of what I need in a relationship, and better equipped to communicate those needs effectively. Life continues to unfold in unexpected ways. The space that Jessica created when she left has been filled with new experiences, friendships, and personal growth I might never have discovered otherwise. Sometimes the things we think will break us become the catalysts for our most profound transformations. As I look toward the future, I carry this understanding with me. Not everyone who leaves your life represents a loss, and not every closed door is truly an ending. Sometimes the space others create by leaving becomes room for something better to enter. Have you ever experienced a painful ending that eventually led to unexpected growth? Leave a comment below and share your story. If this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share with someone who might need to hear it. Thank you for listening. And remember, the best response to betrayal is not revenge, but building a life so full and rich that there is no room left for regret.